for joining us for News 8 at 12:30. I'm Brian Spiros in for Keith Kuntz, and we begin with breaking news out of East Hartford in the wake of yesterday's plane crash there. Local and federal authorities on the scene right now investigating. That plane went down along Main Street while on approach into Brainerd Airport. And now the big question, was this an accident or something more? News 8's Ken Pierce is live from the scene with the latest details. Kent.
Brian, a fiery crash in the middle of yesterday afternoon, right in the middle of Main Street in East Hartford here. And the big questions today, who was in control of that airplane when it crashed, and did he crash the plane intentionally? Unfortunately, at a press conference a few minutes ago, local law enforcement not able to answer those questions. But the New York Times says this was no accident. Now, here's what we do know. The twin-engine Piper took off from Brainerd Airport yesterday with a flight instructor and a student pilot on board. At about 3:30 p.m., that plane came down, hitting utility poles and power lines, cartwheeling down Main Street, just barely missing a minivan with children in it. One witness said he saw the instructor jump clear. The student did not make it out of the plane. That instructor's name is Prevalent. He owns a flight school, and he is in the burn unit of Bridgeport Hospital right now. The New York Times reports he is telling federal investigators his student crashed that plane intentionally. East Hartford police would not confirm that at a press conference a few minutes ago. But remember, this was a teaching aircraft, so either man could have been in control.
There's two sets of controllers in such a plane, and either one of the two occupants will at any time have the ability to control that plane. As to who is specifically at the controls at the time of impact, I do not have that.
The mom and kids in the minivan almost hit by the plane were checked out as a precaution. They're okay. Prevalent, the instructor, has serious burns but is expected to live. Police are not yet releasing the ID of the student who died. The NTSB and the FBI are investigating this. The NTSB known for being very thorough and taking its time. The FBI famous for not saying much about its investigations. So information so far is coming out very slowly, but there are a lot of pieces to this investigation still. So be sure to keep with News 8 on air and online as all of this develops as the day goes on. For now, live in East Hartford,
Right now, we have breaking news for you tonight. An explosive dropped off this morning at the Nederland police station. It is still out there tonight. This all started more than 14 hours ago. You can see bomb technicians in their suits out there trying to get a closer look at the device. They've also called in the bomb robot. Here's a better idea of where this is all happening right now. This device is in a parking lot of a strip mall area. This is near South Bridge Street and Lakeview Drive, if you're familiar with the Nederland area. And now take a look at this. Live pictures just in right now, because just in the last 10 minutes, the bomb robot has left. We can no longer see the device. I know they were going to x-ray it, but police say they found the explosive this morning in a bag. They actually brought it into the office for a moment, realized what it was, and then took it back outside and evacuated the area. Nederland Police Marshal Paul Carrill says this was definitely not just something suspicious left behind.
No. The bomb squad has determined that there was a device in it, and I will leave that up to their expertise to explain that in greater detail as to what that device consisted of. But there was a true threat here.
So we have a crew there. We are watching this, and as soon as we have an update on this investigation, we will bring it to you right here and on the Denver 7 app.
41 Action News investigator Andy Alcock has been digging into the suspect's past. He's live in the newsroom with what he has uncovered. Andy.
Mike, we did find one criminal record for William Luth. He pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts of giving false information. That plea was in Southern Illinois in 2009 when the now 24-year-old was 17. Now, we couldn't find any criminal history for 21-year-old Brady Newman Cadell, but we did track down a former employer. A restaurant manager in Blue Springs says he fired him about a year ago. We also found what we believe to be Newman Cadell's Facebook page. We're in the process of confirming the comments on there are his comments. While both Newman Cadell and Luth don't appear to have very serious criminal pasts, they're both facing very serious felony charges now. We will be there at tomorrow's arraignment. I'm investigator Andy Alcock, 41 Action News.
As soon as it hit the first telephone pole, it just burst into flames.
Crews are cleaning up the wreckage of a deadly plane crash in East Hartford as investigators try to figure out why the small plane went down. Crews are still on the scene near Main Street cleaning up the wreckage. The street is closed and they will be there for at least the next 24 hours. Good evening. I'm Ann Nyberg and Craig is off.
And I'm Darren Kramer. We'll get up to speed now on all the latest developments tonight. About 162 electrical customers still in the dark now as Eversource works to restore power in that area. The East Hartford School District is warning parents school bus service could be delayed tomorrow because Main Street will still be closed there. And tonight, the FAA and the NTSB are investigating that crash. News 8's Bob Wilson live from the scene tonight with the very latest. Bob?
Yeah, we're also learning FBI is on scene, Deep is on scene, and at this point we would kind of zoom in and show you what they're doing inside on the wreckage. However, we were told that the passenger is still inside right now. That's part of the investigation, kind of putting all the pieces back together, and they said it may be a while before they take him out as they notify next of kin and move through that. But right now, very active scene. They've got the overhead, the electricity going up. They're trying to rehang the wires, and it's not an easy job after this plane came crashing into the neighborhood, shaking up the people all around.
3 poles, when it hit the last one, it just boomed.
As soon as it hit the first telephone pole, it just burst into flames.
Power just went out and work, and then everyone just ran outside.
Tonight, FAA investigators trying to figure out what went wrong. A small Piper airplane on final approach to Brainerd Airport veers off course, tangling in power lines as it tries to land on Main Street in East Hartford. Frank Crandall took this picture seconds after the plane just missed his car.
I slammed on the brakes. He hit a pole just behind me. Then he came in and landed, and I actually thought it was part of the plane that was falling off, but evidently the pilot actually jumped out of the plane.
The passenger didn't make it out alive. From the air, you can see just how large the debris field is, stretching blocks along Main Street in East Hartford. Witnesses say it is a miracle more people weren't injured or killed. The plane landed behind Frank and in front of a mother in a minivan with her 3 children inside.
She was fine, but she was so nervous, like shaking. She couldn't even talk.
Power was out for blocks, roads closed, and Goodwood College canceled classes as investigators look into the report that it was a pilot and a student who were in the plane.
God bless the person that was still in it, though. I mean, it's a sad thing, but there was a passenger that didn't make it.
And then there's the pilot. You saw him afterwards, or he?
Yeah, he was sitting next to the bank, and he just had a burnt arm.
Main Street will remain shut down for at least 24 hours as investigators work the charred remains of the debris field.
Life is short, and, really appreciate what you have, and, don't take life for granted because, it could be gone tomorrow.
Now, they are still working the scene throughout the night. They're saying 24 hours, but they're saying now days that this road could be shut down. They have not identified the victims at this point, but they are saying they are moving forward to that, and they may have some releases for us tomorrow. There is a news conference scheduled for 9 a.m. Tune in to Good Morning Connecticut for that. I'm Bob Wilson reporting live.
First this new time, 2 teenagers are recovering. They were hit by gunshots late last night near a Providence City Park today. Neighbors are telling us more about what they saw. Eyewitness News reporter Jared Pliner is working the story, joins us now live with the very latest.
Violence at the East Side's Billy Taylor Park overnight.
I was in my house. I heard gunshots, so I came out to check, and I heard a lot of screaming.
Police tell Eyewitness News an 18-year-old boy and a 15-year-old girl were hit around 11:30. Tracy Almeida said he spoke with the group.
The girl said her boyfriend had just got shot. They said he's in the park. I said, well, how come you're not going up there? They said they're still up there shooting. They're still up there.
Almeida said he went in anyway. Notice he came out without a shirt.
He was laying out on the ground with a gunshot wound to his head. So I just started holding his head, took my shirt off, my shirt on his head.
Police said they went to get the teenage girl who'd gone home. Both shooting victims are said to be in stable condition. Almeida said he did what he had to do, but the whole thing pains him.
I'm tired of hearing about it all the time, and these are like young kids just shooting each other for no reason. I'm sick of it.
And a detective was here this morning taking another look at the scene. No word on any suspects at this hour. For now, live with the Providence Mobile Newsroom, I'm Jared Pliner, Eyewitness News.
Also this morning, the FBI has been called in to help in an investigation of a small plane crash in Connecticut. It killed 1 man, left the pilot with serious burns. But now that pilot is indicating the crash was no accident. NBC's Tom Costello covers aviation. Tom, good morning. What can you tell us?
Yeah, good morning. The plane had taken off from a flight school. It was on final approach when it went down. The pilot survived. The student pilot was the passenger. And now federal law enforcement sources say they're looking at his background, including his nationality, trying to determine if he intentionally crashed the plane. A quiet community in Connecticut rattled this morning after a small plane crashed in a neighborhood late Tuesday, possibly intentionally. The twin-engine Piper PA-34 was on its final approach to the Hartford airport when it crashed, knocking down power lines, leaving about 500 homes without power.
It's early in the investigation now. At this point, it's a plane crash. As far as anything specifically, whether it's an accident or a criminal case, that's all to be determined.
According to the New York Times, the pilot who survived the crash told investigators it was not an accident. The passenger had received his pilot's license just a year ago.
It almost crashed our car in pieces.
The plane careening into a heavily populated area, just barely missing cars as they were driving by.
I heard the engine sputter a little bit, and then I saw the whole thing coming in. And I just instantly stopped in my car, and the whole car just shook.
It was like a movie scene, who would have thought that would have happened?
Investigators say the plane appears to have come from a local flight school. 2 people were on the plane at the time of the crash. 1 passenger died. Again, he was the student pilot. The plane went down near a Pratt & Whitney plant, a jet engine manufacturer for commercial, military, and general aviation. So far, no indication the crash involved any of the company's employees or contractors. 2 people in that minivan at the time of the crash suffered minor injuries. Guys, back to you.
A strange story, Tom. Thank you very much.
The man who police say is responsible for a deadly stabbing is behind bars this morning. Raheem Newman was arrested in New Jersey Tuesday. He's accused of stabbing Sharon Dorsey and her 80-year-old mother during a family dispute in West Baltimore on Sunday. Dorsey died at the hospital. The 80-year-old woman remains in critical condition. Newman will be sent back here to Baltimore, where he will face murder and attempted murder charges.
Radio host Stephen Lenman joins us now from Chicago. It's great to have you with us here on Press TV's Top 5. Mr. Lenman, these accusations leveled by China against the United States are nothing new.
Oh, nothing new at all, and China is well aware of America's intentions. You could take a look at the global map and all of the conflicts that are raging and violence in various countries resulting from conflicts, and almost all of them, maybe all of them, stem from America's imperial agenda. One war after another, multiple ones going on at the same time, other nations targeted for regime change, the idea of eliminating all independent governments so U.S. control ones can be installed in their place. And of course, some of the biggest hotspots are happening in Eastern Europe on Russia's border, in the Middle East with a huge flashpoint in Syria, and in the South China Sea. It's the South China Sea. It's not the South American Sea, but America thinks all seas belong to America. We've got a situation, China is right, a situation that could erupt into a very serious war in that part of the world again.
And how do you see this conflict of interest transpiring?
I think we're heading for explosive global war. I think it's ongoing right now, but people don't realize it because there are wars in multiple countries going on. My great fear is that we're going to see something involving nuclear weapons, and then everybody will know we're in a global war because a war with nuclear weapons would affect everybody everywhere. And again, the South China Sea, an extremely important hotspot, Syria, Eastern Europe, the Black Sea, my goodness, with U.S. warships there. And all of these America's bases and warships and aircraft are all armed with nuclear weapons. They could get an order from Washington and they could start falling. We could have a very serious situation. I think the way things are going, and with the prospect of Hillary Clinton succeeding Obama, the chance of a nuclear war under her leadership is extremely high. It scares me. Everybody should be scared.
Author and radio host Stephen Lenman joining us from Chicago. Thank you for your comments, sir.